As they say, it sounds like a cliche, but I get a lot more out of it than I actually give. I learn a lot. I hope to continue to learn as long as I live. My life is greatly enriched by the encounters that I have on the street, by our brothers and sisters who are sometimes called less fortunate, or sometimes categorized as the homeless, or sometimes, unfortunately, as a problem to be solved. But we're human beings. We're much more complex.
It's a great experience. It's very humbling in some ways, but it's actually very gratifying. So, and I think most people should at least give it a try. Some people are a little nervous to go out down into Detroit, but we've never had any issues.
Our hospitality ministry now operates out of a place in downtown Detroit called Detroit Cafe in the Harmony Park Media Center at 1427 Randolph, right in downtown Detroit. Once they heard that we were losing our kitchen and that we needed help to sustain our hospitality mission to the poor and homeless in Detroit, they opened their kitchen to our use and their basement for storage as well. They've been great. And so now every morning we bring our bicycle carts up to the alleyway behind their restaurant, behind their building, and we're allowed to use their kitchen to brew our coffee, hot chocolate, to store our sandwiches, and to get ready to hit the streets to do our ministry. The name Canticle was chosen in honor of St. Francis of Assisi, who wrote something called the Canticle of Brother's Son. And it calls all of humanity, but also all of creation, into relationship with one another. And when it came time to rename our outreach ministry to the poor and the homeless, when it came time to reimagine our Franciscan hospitality to the needy, we thought that that was a good name to use, because we also wanted to be acknowledged as brothers and sisters to those we serve. We have one other Canticle Cafe that I was involved in getting started about 8 years ago in Cincinnati, Ohio, and so we thought we would redo it again in Detroit, and it went well for quite some time. But the building that we've been occupying on 1209 Washington Boulevard in downtown Detroit, right across the street from St. Aloysius Church, is very old. It was built in the 1920s, and it was built as a temporary building. So we lost that building a few months ago, and it was in anticipation of that the idea of the bicycle cart ministry carrying on the Canticle Cafe mission was born.
or hot chocolate?
Neither.
Oh,
Sandwich?
a sandwich.
Here you go.
Me too.
You do?
Well, thank you. I want coffee though. So.
51. I've been homeless ever since Katrina hit New Orleans. I was in New Orleans in '05 when Katrina hit. I lost everything. My apartment was under like 14 feet of water. I lost every like possession I ever owned. Well, I went to Cincinnati first. I didn't like Cincinnati. So I went to the library, got an atlas, and figured the closest city, a big city, happened to be Detroit. Now, I found out from being on the streets, the bigger a city is, the easier it is to get by if you're on the street. If you're in a little one-horse town, you're going to struggle. I'm from the Northeast originally, South Jersey, near Philly. That's where I grew up, in that area. Both my parents are dead. I had a brother, he got killed in '85. A motorcycle hit him. I got two stepsisters. We had different mothers. Same father, different mothers, and we never got along. You know, I think they resent the fact that their dad left their mom to marry my mom, so I got picked on. Yeah. Basically, I'm my family. Yeah, you know. And I could get by. I survived. I'm not going to roll over and play dead. You know what I mean? Last night I crashed in a porta potty to keep the rain off me. You know what I mean? I prefer being on the street than in a shelter. I'm kind of hard-headed. I don't like being told I got to be in at 5 in the afternoon and get up before it's even daylight out. Yeah, and then all night you got to listen to 100 people hooting and hollering. It's like you're being in prison, you know, or institution. They make noise all night. You know, they can't get no sleep. They're loud and obnoxious, you know. So I said, well, I'm happy. You know, I'm content being by myself out here. I'll put up with the weather instead of a bunch of idiots. Plus, they'll steal you blind, you know. It's even worse in here because if you leave your stuff unattended in the shelters, it's not going to be there when you go to get it. You know what I mean? Once you've been out here in the streets for a while, nothing surprises you. You'll see everything. Everything. You know what I mean? You name it, you'll see it. You know? My dad told me when I was a teenager. He told me when I was a teenager, he said, don't look for trouble, you know, in life because enough trouble's going to come your way. You ain't got to look for it. And he wasn't lying. Brother Al was bringing me a sleeping bag. Someone stole my sleeping bag. Don't steal anything that ain't tied down. As the temperature drops, you gear up, you know, to counter the cold weather. You know, and sleeping bags are important, you know, because they're like insulated to keep you warm. You know, them thin blankets just don't get it, you know.
He is very giving and very, you know, when they actually had the Canticle Cafe, the building, and the Archdiocese decided to close it, it wasn't a decision made by their group. He just felt that, you know, in some way God would provide. I mean, he just really had no doubts that it would just continue in some way that it was meant to be. You know, he's very good with all the people on the streets. He isn't, you know, he doesn't preach per se. He is just who he is, and I think that that's a better type of evangelization than the people who go out and preach on the streets.
I learn with every encounter I have on the street more about myself, more about life, more about purpose. I'm just blessed to be able to do what I can do. I firmly believe that, you know, as long as I'm given the strength and the ability to do it, I have a responsibility to serve. It's just how I see it. And it's a blessing that I can do it.